से जुड़ी किसी भी छोटी या बड़ी अपडेट के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें स्पोर्ट्स तक और साथ ही किसी भी नोटिफिकेशन को पाने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबाना ना भूलें।
Yeah, it's a great occasion, one that the team are really looking forward to, but at the same time our focus is very much about one game at a time, and that was certainly the focus throughout the Sri Lankan series, and it's important that although the opposition is different, that we still focus on what we're trying to do to keep playing better cricket for us.
So you haven't changed preparation despite the facts in what they are, powerhouse of world cricket?
Yeah, they're a very good team, and for us, like I say, a lot of the focus is on our cricket, but you do make subtle adjustments because naturally the opposition is different, they bring different strengths, and it is important to be aware of those.
In terms of momentum,
it's a wee way away. There's a lot of cricket in between, I suppose, that thought and here we are now, but it would be a nice result that both teams will be after for sure, but for us it's more important to keep improving our cricket, our plans that we set out to achieve. If we can keep getting better at those, we've seen in the last series that we want to execute a little bit better in a couple of areas. Certainly in the field is something that we want to step up and sort of get back to our old ways, which is that real attitude in the park and showing what we're about as a team. That's an area that we definitely want to improve on, and we know we're going to be put under pressure a number of times throughout this series, so it is a great opportunity to go out and improve our game as a group.
saw how well they played in Australia, in particular their skipper Virat. Is this a challenge for you as a captain, trying to get someone like that out and set fields for a player of his calibre?
Yeah, obviously world-class player Virat, and he's always a challenge to come up against, and someone that I think most admire in terms of the way he goes about his cricket, and he's formidable in his run scoring. So definitely a player of note to try and shut down. But at the same time, there's so many quality players in that side that although he is world class, you don't want to get too consumed around one individual because there are a number of match winners in their side. So it is, once again, it's about us trying to execute what we're trying to do as best we can.
Is it dangerous around a guy like Virat? Is that dangerous territory if you just start focusing on him?
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of what I meant, is that you're focusing on the opposition as a whole, and although Virat is a fantastic player, they are a very good side, and there's 11 players, and they all need to be counted, which they always are. That's why they are top in the world. So it's important we address that, but not get too focused on individuals and more focused on the cricket we want to play.
Will you be measuring your series on what you achieve on the park in terms of individual and team performance, rather than results 3-2, 2-1, whatever the series goes?
Yeah, without a doubt. As a group, we're wanting to improve all the time, and I think if we are doing that, that gives us the best chance to win, but without making the winning and the losing the sort of consuming focus. So we know India are going to provide a really strong challenge. It's number one in the world. So that's why it's all the more important that we're focusing on the cricket we want to play, the style of cricket that we know when we do play that way gives us the best chance of success. And then I suppose if you start looking ahead, which we try not to, we know that doing that now is the best way to be where we want to be come a few months' time perhaps.
Will you be working on a rotation system in terms of selections for each game?
A rotation system isn't the word I don't think to use, but it is important that there is a balance because of the workload. There is so much cricket on, so there might be at times a selection which is linked to perhaps workload, and I think that's just normal in the landscape of international cricket these days, and I think we've seen here at the Indian side as well, is that a squad now certainly isn't 11 and you're trying to get everything out of them every day. It's much bigger than that, and I do think on a whole that helps you become a better cricket team as well. We haven't got 11 sorted just yet. Obviously I'm early here today, but we're going to come down and train obviously in a couple of hours, and we'll have a look at the surface and finalise our side.
What are the tough selection choices? I mean, you've got guys that need to run as well, and you want to look at guys. What are the tough areas for you to mind?
Yeah, selecting an 11 is always fairly tough, and I think we've had guys been rested and guys come in the previous series and do really well, which are great problems to have, and I think they're all adding to the basket, which is what you want to see, because I think I mentioned that it's certainly not 11 players, it's so much more than that, and when those guys get the opportunity to come in and play a role, you want them to grab it with both hands. So I suppose it's a balance thing, which is rather than a personnel thing that we're certainly looking at tomorrow.
Have you seen Colin Grantholm after a bit of a break? I mean, he's probably the output hasn't been as much as we expect from him. How do you see his mindset and his form coming in here?
Yeah, Colin's obviously had a big workload recently, and so I think he really enjoyed a little bit of time away to freshen up. And once again, he's a big part of our side. So in terms of selection for tomorrow, we haven't finalised an 11, but we've got 14 with us, and I'm pretty sure that throughout this series, almost all of those guys will get a run.
Kane, a lot has been made about you and Virat Kohli in the media in terms of what you bring as batsmen. Is there a distraction for you at all, or are you focused on what you do?
Very much try to focus on what my job is in the team, and what my role is around the sort of cricket that we want to play and our batting plans that we set ourselves, and that's a focus for me. But someone like Virat's certainly a player that I admire and enjoy to watch, and he's pushing the boundaries of the game, which is brilliant.
He's also a different species, isn't he? I mean, let's face it, he's very un-Indian. He's not a docile, a friendly guy when the game comes on, he's in your face. Are the players likely to react to that? And do you expect pockets of the crowd here to also get into the swing of things like they did in Australia?
Pockets of New Zealand.
Like in the fifth test, he was jeered and booed
Oh, was he?
off the park and off the park. Do you expect it to happen here?
No, I would hope not. I don't think that's what we want to see, certainly from our supporters. You want to applaud good cricket, and we know Virat is a passionate player and a very competitive cricketer, and I think that's pretty much where it starts, and he is a very respectful guy as well. I've known him for a fairly long time, but as a player, obviously world class, and I think our focus is less about that and more about his cricketing ability and how we can combat that as best we can.
Last couple, you said?
In both sides, I mean, especially India, being a bit on their top order, your top order has been doing well. Do you see the series as balanced between the top order, especially keeping both the plans in mind?
I guess depending on the surfaces, and often here the surfaces are very good, which might mean that scores are fairly high. So I suppose that there might be, it is important that your batting group is looking to put together their plan as best they can, but at the same time the bowlers have a massive role in that and trying to nullify some of those strengths in both oppositions. So I guess it's just adapting to the conditions as best you can, and when the wicket's really good, no doubt as a batting group you're trying to get an above par total, and when it's not, you're trying to scrap as best you can to get a competitive total or chase that down, and everyone's role is equally important, but just some days it probably changes a little bit.
And two Indian leg spinners have had a lot of roles to play wherever they've gone, even if we played against them India, apart from the third match, you had pretty comfortable times in the first two games against them. So do you think that's going to be a factor in the series as well? Short grounds, smaller grounds compared to Australia where they're coming off?
Two fantastic wrist spinners that have been a big part of their side for a long time. I think we saw in Aussie there were a few adjustments. Jadeja came back and played really well, and we're not too sure what team they'll look to put out, which is fine. But we know that whatever team they do put out will be strong.
Kane, when you got captain against Kohli, really good batsmen, do you, as a captain, try and think like they would, if you get my drift, in terms of trying to get them out? Do you try and think how they would be thinking rather than see how they're going?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the reason why they're so good, or part of the reason, is they've been so good for such a long period of time, and I guess when you're sitting down trying to do your homework and work out maybe areas that you want to target, I think everybody does that, and obviously no one's quite mastered it, but you do try and put things in your favour as best you can. Try and find ways to put opposition under pressure, whether it's Virat or MS or any other players, and also try and adapt to the conditions as best you can. I think there's that element of planning for your opponent, but also adapting and using the surface and what's around you as well as you can, so you're not getting too caught up in maybe their strengths, and you're also finding that balance between your game plan. So yeah, you do try and come up with different things, but at the same time, yeah, I guess it's not overthinking it. You appreciate that they are very good players, and no doubt they'll have an impact throughout this series. But once again, it's a team game, and for us, we know if we put together collective team performances, that gives our side the best chance.
Last one, Ali.
Yeah, just the dimensions of this ground, does that add to the challenge when you see batsmen of, the Virat MS calibre? Does it add to the challenge of, I suppose, playing fields and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think all our grounds are slightly different. I think here with a short square and fairly long straight, and naturally as a bowling attack you take that into account, certainly towards the latter stages of an innings where you're perhaps looking to defend, and as a batting group you're also aware of that, and you're trying to maybe look for certain areas whilst considering what the bowler's trying to do. So it is part of conditions, what the surface is doing, how we want to try and skin that as a collective. But yeah, it all comes into your thinking, I suppose.
Is there a degree, Kane, of not knowing what the wicket will do, considering we haven't played here for 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've been here. It's great to be back here at McLean Park, and historically the surface here is very good, and there's been some domestic cricket here which has proven that, so we're expecting a good surface.
Cool. All right, thanks very much.